Mr. Barr, you're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks for our witnesses for your service and for your testimony here today. As you all can see, this committee is very interested in the possible benefits of medical cannabis. I've had an opportunity to listen to veterans of different eras, post 9/11 veterans, Iraq, Afghanistan veterans, about their interest in the therapeutic benefits for post-traumatic stress and anxiety, sleep deficiency, and also Vietnam era veterans in my Veterans Coalition who have expressed an interest in us proceeding with this. So I am a co-sponsor of Dr. Rowe's bill, H.R. 747, which does direct the VA to conduct medical cannabis research. And I also want to thank Mr. Correa for the VA Medicinal Cannabis Research Act. I share Dr. Rowe's concern that Mr. Correa's bill may be a little bit too prescriptive, but I appreciate Dr. Grant's point that if that's our only opportunity to proceed with research, I'd prefer that than nothing. So I have a preference here, and it's Dr. Rowe's bill, but I do want to see us move expeditiously on the research because of the intense interest that the veterans community has expressed to me. Let me just ask any of you about that difference between the Rowe version and the Correa version. Do we need to have an approach that lets the researchers, as Dr. Grant has expressed a preference for, direct this, as opposed to folks up here? And admittedly, I'm not a physician, and I don't have an expertise in this area. What is the best approach here? Because maybe we can get a larger consensus to pursue this. And I invite anyone to offer an opinion on that.
Mr. Barr, thank you for posing that question. And I do appreciate your comments, Ranking Member Rowe's comments on the matter as well. You know, I think in my testimony I had mentioned that we have to recognize a couple of things, and that is, in fact, VA is not doing much in this space when there is a definite need that they need to be a leader in this area. I think the veterans have spoken. I think Congress is speaking to them. I think it would be helpful if we can have members in in Congress, some of the veteran service organizations, and the scientific research community come together and find. And I don't want to use this as a way to slow the legislative process down. I want to help inform the two bills that are out there now, and maybe Mr. Rowe and Mr. Crane can craft a bill together. But with VA's definitive opposition, we need to get over that because they're the ones that are going to have to execute on this. That might be a way forward.
Well, thank you. Any other thoughts on that point?
Yeah, I think just to echo what Davey was saying, I think there is a concern that if VA is not explicitly told how to do it, that they will drag their feet and withhold this research. Or
well, maybe there's a middle.
Research.
Maybe there's a middle road.
Yeah.
A mandate that they do it, but give the professionals and the scientists and the researchers a little bit of control in terms of setting the parameters for the research and providing some deference to the expertise of people like Dr. Grant. So I'm willing to step in and try to work on that compromise to move this forward and not have the delay. And I look forward to working with the VSOs on that if I can be helpful. In Kentucky, we've kind of led the way in descheduling industrial hemp, which is low THC CBD. And so for Dr. Grant, and we descheduled in the Farm Bill. I am interested in your research and what your research tells us about low THC CBD and any therapeutic benefits that that could provide separate and apart from the psychoactive THC substance in marijuana.
Yeah, thank you. Let me see if I can address that. First of all, as you know and as we've discussed, cannabidiol, which is a common ingredient in cannabis, in marijuana, is not thought to be psychoactive, but it may have anti-anxiety, anti-inflammatory, anti-epileptic, and other qualities. So clearly, this is a substance, first of all, that needs further study, but already there, in the area of epilepsy, we've seen that it benefits children. That drug, in my opinion, should not be on a schedule. There's no evidence that it is an addictive substance. As for THC-containing things, it seems to me a more sensible approach would be something along the lines that we've used with codeine. So low codeine preparations are in Schedule 3, for example, and higher codeine preparations are in Schedule 2. And that makes a lot of sense. If you give more or a higher potency, it may be more dangerous. And I think that the THC products belong somewhere in that zone, personally.
My time obviously has expired, and I've gone over, and I'm sorry. I appreciate the chairman's indulgence. I would just say that as we move forward with research on both the high THC and low THC, that the researchers look at what CBD, cannabis oil, could do separate and apart from the higher psychoactive, higher THC psychoactive parts. And I yield back, and I appreciate the chairman's indulgence.